Hey, hey, I'm Ayuma Michelle, and welcome to Let's with Ayuma. This is an online safe space that I started to empower progressive women from all around the world to thrive with purpose. Today, we are going to talk about how to manage quarantine fatigue, right? But just before we go anywhere, please hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. My goal is to actually reach 300 subscribers, so please help me reach my goal, okay? So, this is an update, ladies. I have actually, since the beginning of this week, I have been feeling so meh. Like, I have just been feeling so. I haven't been feeling motivated. And this is actually as a result of, fatigue. This quarantine fatigue. Quarantine fatigue is unlike social fatigue or emotional fatigue, because you kind of know what that is. But even what experts are saying about quarantine fatigue is that it's this animal that we don't know, yet it's affecting us. And that's actually what I have been facing. And in case you feel anxious, in case you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, those are serious signs of quarantine fatigue. But for me, what this actually looks like is that since the beginning of the week, I've just been feeling like my body is just tired, feeling very sleepy. Like my body is just tired. I'm physically tired. My mind is feeling clouded. Sometimes I'm very forgetful. Just feeling unmotivated despite me loving what I do. Just feeling unmotivated. And then also focusing on particular items on my to-do list and completely ignoring others. No matter how urgent they are, like completely ignoring them. And then also, I've been feeling a lot of pressure to do something, but without knowing what that something is, I just keep feeling this thing for like I'm missing out on something or I should be doing something, but I don't know what that is. And also, my prayer and meditation, my goodness, has really suffered. Like it hasn't been regular. It has been so irregular. Like there are some days which would pass by without even me meditating or praying, and I've been feeling like, that's not so good, right? And then also I have been feeling like just like crying randomly, whether I'm in bed, whether I'm going about my day, whether I'm in the shower. I've just been feeling like crying randomly. And, you know, so I'm going to share with you, that the fact that yes, I'm a coach, but I am also a human being. And I would like you to know that whatever position or whoever you are in various areas of your life, know that you're a human being. And when you're going through this, it does not mean that something is wrong with you, like you are wrong. It is actually a human phenomenon, right? So do not panic and start feeling like there's just something completely wrong with you. It is normal and it is natural, because we are encountering a global pandemic. We don't know what the solutions are, like the exact and the very permanent solutions are. So be very gentle with yourself, right? And so when this week began, I literally had my to-do list set out. I was ready. I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to do by this time, and this time. Because I'm very goal oriented, and I really just like getting things done. And by getting things done, I like checking things off the list and just feeling really empowered that yes, I set out to do this and I achieved it. But I must be honest with you, with you ladies, that it hasn't been the case, because as soon as the week began, despite if even though I was so inspired and so motivated to begin the week, it's like I was hijacked with this dragon called quarantine fatigue that came out of nowhere. And I had two choices, ladies, two choices. I either had the choice to continue fighting this dragon without knowing what it is, or take a step back and learn what this is so that I can slay it effectively. And I chose the latter. Because when you try to attack something that you don't fully understand or comprehend, it will lead you to an even deeper spiral. Because even the fight itself will overwhelm you and you will give up. And so I want to share with you three things that I have actually been practicing, which have helped me manage this quarantine fatigue. but also at the same time that have enabled me to know that I can get out of this, right? So these are 3 ways to keep you going and slay that dragon that is quarantine fatigue. Number 1, your mindset is key. Mindset is key, ladies. You need to know that there is a way out. Yes, experts haven't told us when this thing is going to be over. In some places, like across the globe, like in my country right now, the curve is on the rise, which can really build up on that anxiety. You might even feel afraid to talk to your neighbors, to even get out of your house. But you need to really center yourself and train your mind to know that there is a way out. You need to know that you're not powerless, that you still can do something about it. You can. Once you surrender to the notion and to the belief that you can't get out of this and that you're powerless, I tell you, your mind is such a strong partner. You need to believe you can get out of this. And also, you need to listen to the signs. For me, I hadn't been listening to my body. So what this will look like is that, when this quarantine fatigue, how it looked like at first is that it was physical restrictions. At first, we were feeling that physical stress because we were like, oh, I can no longer go to this place. I can no longer interact with friends. I can no longer travel. All of that, it's like most of us have actually gotten used to the physical stress. But then the emotional now followed up. And when you pen up, when you hold back those emotions, your body is now going to speak up. If your mind is telling you that, I'm feeling a bit stressed, if your heart is telling you I'm feeling a bit stressed, it will reach a point where now your body will hold you hostage, if you don't listen. So you need to listen to the signs. Is your mind just feeling clouded? Are your emotions are you having like emotional outbursts? Are you feeling tired? That is a sign that you need to stop and you need to, take a rain check on a couple of things and make adjustments. Because we cannot continue to behave like we are normal when this is a completely abnormal and new situation. You see? So most of us are used to the physical, but now the emotional is now checking in from across the globe. At very extreme levels, there are people who have completely reached a point where they are completely denying that COVID-19 exists. Yet, and then on the other side, on the extreme, there are people who are completely afraid of this virus. Like they are afraid of getting out of their house, even afraid of talking about it. They are like, do not even mention it. You get what I mean? Some people, unfortunately, have even succumbed to things like suicide, which is really unfortunate, right? And especially for the people who don't know somebody who has actually contracted the virus, you can literally feel like you're in a limbo, like you're dealing with something that you do not know. And that can literally make your mind go nuts, literally. Some people are literally going nuts, which is why you really need to center yourself. Listen, what is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? What is your heart telling you? You need to make sure that you find some kind of a balance. Remember that the story that you tell yourself will then become your reality. If you tell yourself that you will die, if you tell yourself that you won't get out of this, if you tell yourself that you're hopeless, that there is no hope, please remember that words are prayers. Whatever you speak into your life and to yourself during this time, so shall it be. There are lots of medical professionals who said, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, who said that even when they are treating for certain drugs, when they are doing tests for drugs, there are people who just by believing, they've given them something that looks like a drug, but it could even be like something else. It's something that completely has, maybe it's like vitamins or something. But these people, they believed that they had the disease, but because they also believed that they could get cured with vitamins, they actually cured themselves. They actually got cured because of the mind. So if you believe that you won't get out of this, so shall it be. If you believe you will get out of this, so shall it be. Whatever story you're empowering and you're rehearsing and that you're telling yourself in your mind, so shall it be. But also remember, what opinions do you have about yourself? Create those opinions consciously. The thing that I have really been empowering myself with is knowing that I will get out of this. I am going to get out of this not only better, but even more successful and with greater impact and even a more fulfilled individual. And so you can see that's what has been driving even how I go about my business, how I'm reaching out to various people, to my community, to my neighbors, to people in my circles. I'm determined to get out of this a better, stronger, wealthier, wiser person. You get what I mean? And that's what has actually been encouraging me. That's an amazing piece of advice that I learned from this guy called Tom Billieux. And I just think that the advice he shares was very, very motivating because, we are learning. I'm learning just like you from other experts on how to manage this situation. I'm a coach, but I'm also listening to a lot of counselors, a lot of therapists, and just a lot of other life coaches and on how to manage this because I don't have all the answers, right? The second thing is please catch yourself before it's too late. Catch yourself before it's too late. And this looks like taking a break. Myself, I decided to take a week off. I was like, yes, I have a business to run. Yes, there are all these other things. But if I do not catch myself now, it might reach a point where it might be too late to catch myself from a downward spiral. So give yourself a break. Myself, I took a week off. Another thing I'm also doing is that I let my colleagues and my loved ones know how I'm feeling. I let people in my women's circles know, the people I interact with the most. I let my friends know, I let my family know how I'm feeling. Also, I have taken time off social media. What this looks like is that I have literally unfollowed some pages and news sites which consistently share information about all of the things that are going wrong in the world. Yes, I know it's news, but it's also having an effect on me. So I'm literally limiting that. I'm also encouraging myself to know that I don't need to know every single thing that's happening around the world. I literally don't. Another thing I'm doing with social media is that I do not go on social media before noon, before 12 p.m. So whether somebody sends me a message, whether a client sends or whatever, I do not go on social media before noon. And so I literally have a specific time when I am on social media. So that is also guarding my mind with regards to what I am consuming. Another thing I'm doing is that please reflect on your patterns, your thoughts, and your feelings. And this is an amazing tool that I'd like to share with you. Put aside a 1 hour for pure reflection. This is my personal reflection strategy. So you can grab a piece of paper and just write this down. So take an hour, right? And you're going to split that hour into quarters, right? So 15 minutes each, right? So in the first quarter, write down your observations and your feelings. What are you observing? What are you observing and what are you feeling? Acknowledge them. There's a very, very powerful thing about acknowledging what you're noticing, what you're seeing, but also what you're feeling. For 15 minutes, write down whatever comes to mind. The second quarter, write down your responses to these observations and feelings and your affirmations. So what is your response to this observation? What is your response to this feeling? And then what is an affirmation behind that? Right? And then the third quarter, write your plan for change. The plan. You're not writing an actual goal. You're just sharing, this is my plan for change. My plan for change is to rest for a week. Just give myself a week to just rest and figure this thing out, right? And then the fourth quarter is your action point. Now we are discussing tactics here. Like, what is something specific that you're intentionally going to do to action this plan for change, right? So that is my reflection strategy. You will be so surprised. And guess what? From one quarter, you're basically building on these observations and feelings. And then the response and affirmations to these observations and feelings. And plan for change. towards these observations and feelings, and your action point towards these observations and feelings. So it's a powerful way of acknowledging what you're going through and your experiences, but also not just giving in, not just surrendering to whatever is happening. Yes, write down on that journal, but what action are you practically going to take? Because you are in control. You are in charge of how you respond to this situation. So don't just write on a gratitude journal. Don't just pray. Don't leave it just at that. Take action. What practical steps are you going to take so that you can be in control? So that you can take charge of this situation, so that you can take charge of how you respond to these situations, right? So also, another thing is, please go outside if you can and if it's safe. Explore outdoor activities. Take a walk, take in the sun, be around nature. If you have a pet, take your pet for a walk, because guess what? Whatever you're experiencing, your pets are also experiencing, right? So please just take a walk. Myself, I also like just taking walks sometimes. I like going outside to, I have like a community activity where we do like some rounds with a couple of women in my neighborhood, where we prepare some tea and go serve the tea to the security guards, and to just share love with the community. That gets me out of the house, but it also makes me feel good to do good, right? And also, under the theme of catching yourself before it's too late, stay off the screen. I've already shared some of the strategies that I'm using. Please reduce as much as possible the amount of time you spend on your screen. First of all, there's this rays that the light that comes from your phone and also from your screen, it prevents you from sleeping. It prevents you from going through your natural cycle of rest and when to be awake. But also, you really don't need to be consuming that much information. Sometimes when you overconsume information, it makes your mind overwork. And a mind that is overworked can't produce better, and it also can't rest better. It can't produce well and can't rest well. So please literally control the amount of time and reduce the amount of time we spend on the screen. You've heard of people being zoomed out. People are literally zoomed out. They are tired of all those Zoom calls and all of these calls. Because imagine your phones and your laptops. Our phones and our laptops have literally become our main mode of communication with the friends we can no longer visit or catch up with because of COVID and physical distancing, for placing orders, maybe if you're delivering, for delivery of stuff, and then also receiving news, also catching up with friends, also knowing what is going on, also online learning. Like literally, we are spending so much more time online and on our phones and on our screens. Please cut off, like literally reduce, because it's not doing us good spending so much time there. And also realize this. There's an amazing lesson that I learned from nature channels. I love watching nature channels because there's just something beautiful you learn from nature, that, by the way, some of the ideas you come up with, they're not so original because nature already has the answers. I learned a beautiful lesson about cheetahs. Cheetahs are like the fastest animals on land. They are the fastest land animals, right? But for them, something powerful I learned is that before a cheetah, what helps cheetahs run so fast and for them to literally be the fastest land animal is that before cheetahs hunt, before they start chasing, they spend majority of their time resting. Rest comes before they chase. Rest comes before becoming like going after those goals, going after those dreams, going after the hunt. Before the hunt, they spend majority of their time resting. I honestly believe in the same thing. Before you show up for your clients, before you show up for your family, before you show up for your children and your partners, before you show up for your community, before you show up for your spiritual communities, before you show up for any other area of your life, spend time nurturing this person. Spend time nurturing yourself. Spend time resting. And it's even biblical. The reason why God instructs us to take a day of rest, it's because it is in obedience of Him. We are following his character. We are following his design. If God himself needed a day of rest, who are we not to rest? Right? Because he then looked back at what he had done and he was like, it is good. And therefore he commands us to do the same thing, to take a day of rest. Because by taking that day of rest, it is honoring that even as we rest, we trust and believe that as we take that rest in obedience to him, he will take care of our needs, right? And also remember, before they chase the cheetahs, the fastest land animals, they take time to rest. They rest and they nurture themselves so that they can put that energy and go for that and bullet for those dreams, bullet for that hunt, bullet for those things, for those goals that they desire to achieve. So remember the cheetah, right? And remember also the Sabbath. And the third one is rediscover rediscover your gifts, rediscover your passions. And this is a powerful lesson that I actually recently learned from Mel Robbins. She said that whenever you feel stuck, it is actually a sign of an unmet need, and not a need with regards to serving people. Remember, passion is what energizes you. Purpose is service towards others. Passion is towards you. What energizes you? Passion is service towards yourself. Purpose is service towards others. So most of us, especially if you're a giver like myself and you're really people-oriented, you'll find yourself focusing a lot on your purpose. I am serving people, and I'm doing it so well. But something inside feels empty. Something inside feels just like something just is not making sense. And that is because you are pouring more than you have within yourself. And that's why I needed to take a week off to focus on my passions, focus on filling my cup, and figuring out, even though I'm not able to meet with people, which is something I'm so passionate about, with regards to, even though I'm not able to go to restaurants and experience new food experiences, because I love food and experiencing new food and just meeting with people, even though I'm not able to gather women and pour into them and just and learn from them, that's something I'm not able to do physically, because for me, I really love physical interactions. I really value online, but it's not the same as physical interaction. Being able to touch somebody, being able to see their facial expression, being able to share a meal with somebody, that I've realized is something that I really, really value. And even just mobility, being able to go anywhere that I want. What I needed to do is rethink these passions. And how I'm doing this is that despite COVID-19, I am actually rediscovering my passions and I'm repurposing them. Some of the things that I'm doing is that since I love being around growth spaces, I love being around people who are growing and things who are growing, I started gardening. Because I started focusing a lot of my attention on gardening and watering them, taking care of these plants, because I am daily seeing them grow. And that really energizes me. Another thing that I am doing is adventure. What will I do with my passion for adventure? You know, instead of going out to restaurants and stuff like that, I am recreating amazing, amazing meals at home, which then, and just loving to see how my family is enjoying these meals. So I've been repurposing that adventure, the food adventures, back home, right? And even by sharing, amazing, Swahili tea, Swahili flavored tea, spiced tea with our security guards. I would have just given them tea, but I wanted to go a little extra and give them some extra spice in their tea, And also just other things like, for example, creating a routine. I'm still in the process of creating a routine that not only helps me focus on my purpose, which is serving others, but also that a routine that also encompasses me filling my cup, that encompasses me fueling my purpose, my passions, and my and these passions that have been rethought, that have been redone. And also another thing that I do is I also intentionally make time, like to spend with my family, like movie time, or even I just have dates with myself. Like I really, really loved taking myself out on dates to different places and stuff like that. So I'm repurposing that with securing a time when I can just have my nice tea and watch a nice episodes or programs on Netflix, which is really cool, and just spending that time with myself, and also securing my Saturdays to be my self-care days. If my nails need to be done, my hair, I have natural hair, so that's when I do lots of my that's when my wash days are. So it's something that I really really have been very intentional about. So if you ladies are feeling like, how can I rediscover my passions and how can I pour into my cup despite the restrictions of COVID-19? These are some of the amazing things that you could actually explore. And remember, you have control. You don't have to surrender to hopelessness. You don't have to surrender to fear. You don't have to surrender to just all of the hype that's coming out of many news stations that you need to be up to date with all of these things. No. Just find one station. For me, I really just focus on a news station that gets to the point with the news. Just gets to the point. Tell me what I need to know and I go about my day, right? Because by spending too much time on things that you're not in control of, you'll end up feeling like you're not in control. But by focusing more on acknowledging what you're feeling, acknowledging your observations, writing them down, but also letting the people around you know what it is, but also taking practical steps to manage these things and to refocus and to rethink your purpose, you will then be able to get out of this a better person. No one has ever gone through this before, but you are currently learning how to do so while on the go. Give yourself a break. Be very, very compassionate with yourself and know that you will get out of this. We will get out of this. Okay? So I hope that you found this to be inspiring. I hope that you found this to be helpful to you. Know that yes, I'm a coach, but I'm also going through this just as you are. Know that there's a whole human collective around us to help us learn. I'm learning from therapists. I'm also learning from coaches. I'm learning from people that I know on how to get through this. And know that you won't lose out by taking a break. You won't lose out. There is so much more waiting for us, but you also need to take care of yourself, right? So please comment below. From what I've shared, what are you going to actually do to take charge of your life? Are you facing quarantine fatigue as well? Realize I'm a coach, but I'm going through this, right? None of us is exempt from going through this. There are also therapists who are going through quarantine fatigue, right? There are also spiritual leaders going through quarantine fatigue. There are also essential service workers that are going through quarantine fatigue, right? So if you're going through it, you're not abnormal. It's a normal thing to go through because you are going through a very, very challenging time, right? Please comment below. Let me know. Are you going through quarantine fatigue? And what are some of the things that are working? I'd love to learn from you. What's working for you? And also, what have I shared that maybe you're going to try out, right? So, like, comment, and subscribe. And please share with a friend so that they can know they're also not alone, right? This is Let's with Ayuma, where I'm empowering progressive women from all around the world to thrive with purpose. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.